What's good, y'all? Support Jay back out again. Today we got how to beat the hillbilly cannibals and wrong turn off by how to beat. Y'all know what to do. Let's follow me on both Jace here and Jace there. Get tagged on my socials. Ain't no more yap. Let's get right to it.
Picture this. You're headed to a backwoods festival expecting cheap beer, bad costumes, maybe a questionable hookup or two. Instead, you run into a family of deranged cannibal hillbillies, treating the whole town like their personal 24-hour buffet. What starts as a minor arrest quickly spirals into a full-blown nightmare, with a psychotic patriarch pulling strings from a jail cell, and his sons turning the streets into a slaughterhouse. With no power, no backup, and nowhere to run, survival comes down to one thing: not being the dumbest person in the room. So lock the doors, watch your back, and don't trust anyone in a mask. We're breaking down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to survive the hillbilly cannibals in Wrong Turn 5 Bloodlines. Co-eds Billy and Cruz are getting down and dirty in their tent, unaware of the danger lurking just outside. As their hookup continues, three figures armed with sharp implements sneak towards them, taking advantage of the couple's vulnerable state. One of the deformed ghouls unzips the tent and lunges inside with an axe drawn. Billy wastes no time clocking the intruder with a mean left hook, which sends him falling to the ground. Billy and Cruz scramble to cover their shame as their friends Lita, Gus, and Julian take off their masks. It turns out the attack was just a harmless prank. No harm done.
Nah, bro. There is harm done, nigga. I'm in the middle. There is definitely harm done. I'm in the middle of slaying a mince pipe. And you're gonna take your dusty ass with a mask and a knife. You lucky I ain't had that phone. You lucky I ain't just blow your back. Like, you lucky I ain't just Call of Duty your shit.
Other than Gus's sore jaw, the gang of friends are taking a break from college to visit the local Mountain Man Festival, a wild Halloween party held each year in the town of Fair Lake, West Virginia. As the others show off their traditional Mountain Man costumes, Cruz and Billy go back inside their tent to get dressed. Meanwhile, a local news team has set up on the street where the festival will take place later that night. The reporter, Colleen, finishes her promo and tells the producers that she's going for a run to clear her head. But as she sprints through the woods in her bright yellow tracksuit, her path is blocked by a leering slob who steps out from behind a tree. Colleen sneers at the guy and changes course, only for another creep brandishing a knife to appear from the other direction. These guys seem to be rocking the Mountain Man get-ups that are popular with festival goers, so she figures that they're just messing with her.
But a lot running in the middle of the woods, no sidewalk is fucking insane. With this bright ass over here looking ass too.
After a third ghoul gets in her way, she's had enough, and she tells the costumed freak that she's not afraid of him and flips him the bird, only to have her digit lopped off by a single swipe of the man's blade. It's then that Colleen realizes these are no harmless kids in costumes. In reality, she's run headfirst into Three Finger, Sawtooth, and One Eye, three members of the notorious family of killer cannibals known as the Hitchhikers. As blood spurts from her hand, she runs screaming for help. Now, luckily, an older man who is walking nearby hears her cries and comes to her aid. The man leads Colleen off the path.
That's the nigga pulling the strings. I'm already knowing, bro. Let me guess. That's the nigga pulling the strings, bro. I'm already knowing, bro. I got that, bro. I got the Sharingan, nigga, the Byakugan, nigga, the Jagan.
As they duck for safety until her attackers pass by. It looks like she's safe for now, except this old man isn't as harmless as he appears. As he leads her deeper into the woods, Colleen is stunned as he swings an axe straight into her midsection.
See, I knew it. I knew it. Bro, I told you I got the Jagan armor.
He finishes the job by chopping off one of her hands before calling his boys over to collect the body. And with that, the homicidal family has claimed their latest victim. Alright, breaking news. It looks like the local station is gonna need a new field reporter. Right off the bat, Colleen should have realized that it would have taken more than a sassy attitude and a dollar store Kill Bill getup to survive this encounter. Yeah, like her first mistake was underestimating the danger.
Yeah, I'm not flipping niggas off, bro. I'm out that bit, bro. I'm gonna use. I see a knife. I'm thinking they not playing games. I'm out that bit. I'm us. They try to get us, juke your shit, boy.
Danger level of her.
That's why you gotta do your cardio, man. You don't know what's gonna happen, bro.
Situation. Even if Three Finger turned out to be a drunk local in Mountain Man attire.
Yeah, even if he turned out to just be a drunk, a local, or a kid, you don't just go around flipping people off and antagonizing people. That's how you get hurt. That's how you get in a fight. You don't when it's come to survival, you don't escalate shit.
That doesn't mean he's not a threat. A lone woman encountering a stranger in an isolated wooded area is already in a vulnerable position, even if that stranger doesn't turn out to be an unhinged, murderous cannibal. Still, she's alone and physically outmatched. And when more of these creeps show up, her decision to stand her ground and give them a piece of her mind quickly turns into disaster.
You're in the middle of the woods. You need to run. You need to put that jogging freaking tracksuit Gohan shit to use and bolt out of there, nigga.
Practically speaking, her approach to jogging is the root of the problem. Running alone in a secluded wooded area.
That's what I already said, boy. Oh yeah, bro. Instead of running on the sidewalk or running where people are, let me run in the middle of the woods. No path, no concrete, no cellular device on me, just in the middle of the woods. Like, even me, as a 6'2", 190 pounds of muscle, would not run in the middle of the fucking woods, man. I'm running on a sidewalk, somewhere where I can be seen, somewhere where I can call for help. Nigga, running on the middle of fucking in the middle of Doohickyville, nigga. And then you wonder why bad shit is happening. You're not using your head. You need to use your head, broski.
Is asking for trouble in any context. A smarter move would be sticking to a populated, well-trafficked path or jogging with a partner. If she insists on going off into less controlled terrain, basic safety precautions like pepper spray,
bear spray, the strap song, bro. Nigga, you going to the unknown area with zero loot, nigga. Zero weaponry, nigga.
A whistle are a must. Ultimately, Colleen failed to grasp the danger she was in until it was too late. By running into the woods, isolated, unprepared, and unprotected, she adds her name to the Hillikers' long list of victims, and she certainly will not be the last. Back at the campsite, the gang is pre-gaming before the night's festivities. Billy whips out a big bag full of mind-altering goodies as Julian fills them in on the festival's history.
Let's get high in the middle of the woods. This is a great idea, nigga.
He explains that when the town was funded, the local miners didn't get along with the people living in the hills. This led to disputes over territory that came to a head one Halloween night, when the town was ravaged by crazed hill folk in an enormous massacre. But strangely, no bodies were ever found, leading to rumors that the missing people were cannibalized. And so, the Halloween tradition of the Mountain Man Festival was born. Somewhere nearby, the Hilliker boys and their twisted patriarch Maynard are carving up the remains of the unfortunate journalist. He warns the boys about the dangers of leaving any evidence of their crimes, explaining how this new hideout is a lot closer to civilization than they're used to. If they're not careful about covering their tracks, they'll have police snooping around in no time. He drives the message home by bashing Sawtooth upside the head with a wrench and leaves his boys to finish their work. Now, as it turns out, Maynard's paranoia about the cops is well-founded. Sheriff Angela Carter and her deputy Kevin Biggs are patrolling the area in preparation for the festival. As they brace for a night of drunk and disorderly teens, the sheriff gets a call from her husband, Jason. He's taking the afternoon off work and promises to stop by the station later with a tray of lasagna. With their dinner plans set, the officers continue their patrol with no idea of the chaos that's about to unfold. Further down the road, Billy and the others are cruising towards the festival in his BMW, but as they come around a bend, he swerves to avoid a man who steps onto the road, sending the car careening into a tree. The kids emerge from the wreck unharmed, but the car is completely totaled. Now, to make
I ain't gonna lie, bro, that nigga would have gone ran over, bro.
he swerves to avoid.
Bro, you step on the road.
Avoid a man who steps onto the road, sending the car.
Stepped on. You would have gone ran, bro. I would have either hit the brakes or that nigga would have gone ran over, bro. Nigga gonna step on the road. That's your fault. Don't look at me. I got dash cam on my shit. I'm driving and you step on the road. You in front of me. Knowing damn well I'm going 30 in that bit. I ain't gonna lie, bro. You would have gotten hit, bro. That movie would have been over. Nigga, we gotta turn the flat Stanley, bro.
Car careening into a tree. The kids emerge from the wreck unharmed, but the car is completely
I'm not
totaled.
Sacrificing the whip for a random stepping onto the street, bro. You just gonna have to take that, bro.
Now, to make matters worse, the old man who got in their way is now laying face down on the blacktop. Billy is certain he swerved in time to avoid the guy and goes in for a closer look. As Billy, Gus, and Julian approach, the man suddenly springs to life, slashing Billy's arm with a knife. It's Maynard, and his boys are waiting just beyond the nearby tree line to spring a trap. But before they can act, the sheriff and her deputy arrive on the scene to find Billy and his friends kicking the ever-loving crap.
Yeah, stomp that nigga out, bro. I ain't gonna lie, that nigga would've gone stomped out that day, bro. Stop him in the nuts.
Crap out of the old man. The cops break up the fight and take everyone into custody, and soon after, the deputy discovers Billy's big bag of party favors in his wrecked car. It looks like someone's gonna have some explaining to do back at the station, as the kids and Maynard are loaded into.
Why don't drive around with fucking weed in your car. Don't do that dumb shit. Don't drive around with drugs in the whip, nigga.
A paddy wagon. The sheriff leaves Kevin behind with Billy's car to wait for the tow truck, and left all alone at the scene, Maynard's deranged sons waste no time finishing off the deputy in gruesome fashion. Okay, this festival getaway is off to a rough start. Billy wrecking his car was bad enough, but now he and his
I won't even read, bro. That nigga got ran over, bro. I'm driving, random nigga. Nah, bro. Put pedal to the metal on your ass, bro. You would have gotten ran over. I'm telling you, bro. We don't stop here, bro. You would have gotten ran over. I would have told him what happened. I was driving. He stepped on the road. I got dash cam of this shit. And they'll be like, damn, that is what it is, bro. Just pay me $200 and I'm out. You feel me?
his friends are headed down to the station after scrapping with this crazy old man. But perhaps worst of all is his decision to treat his Beamer like a rolling evidence storage locker. Once the car is
I don't know why the hell you would have drugs in your car in the middle of nowhere. Like, that's just some dumb shit.
totaled, you can pretty much throw your plans for the weekend out the window. And that goes double for your little bag of goodies. Billy's cruising around with enough party favors to land him multiple life sentences in a state like West Virginia, so before he does anything else,
This is in West Virginia. Oh, no. You in conservative. Oh, you in conservative home court. It's GG's. It's GG. It's cooked, bro.
first order of business is to ditch the stash before the cops arrive. Toss the bag in the trunk, or better yet, into the nearby woods, and then worry about checking on the old guy you definitely didn't just run over. Without illicit substances drawing your credibility into doubt, you might even convince the sheriff that this old coot was the aggressor and avoid arrest altogether. Then again, maybe not. This crack team of black country law types doesn't exactly seem like the smartest bunch. Take the deputy, who sees 3 armed hillbillies running around him and responds with a wait-and-see approach. By the time they've knocked
horror movie characters are dumb. Niggas seen 3 Neanderthals sprinting.
armed hillbillies running around
Bro seen this. He seen this. Bro, I would have us out that bit.
him and responds with a wait-and-see approach. By the time they've knocked
Look.
and
Face ass, bro. Nigga, why didn't you shoot? Nigga, dumb as fuck, bro.
fired 2 arrows into his legs, he still hasn't found the sense to draw his service weapon. In the end, Deputy Kevin dies with his pistol still in his holster. So chalk this up as the least trigger-happy cop in history. If he wasn't going to defend himself, he could have at least used his final moments to get on the radio and warn his boss about what was coming. But one way or another, the sheriff will soon learn that trouble is just getting started. As night falls and the festival begins, Billy, his friends, and Maynard are all behind bars at the police station. Billy gets his knife wound stitched up by the local doctor. The reality of the situation begins to set in for the others, and Cruz is worried the arrest will mean losing her scholarship or worse, getting kicked out of school entirely. With his friends' futures on the line, Billy decides to step up and take one for the team. He explains to the sheriff that the drugs were all his, and that the rest of them had nothing to do with it. Since she needs to free up cell space for the rowdy festival crowd, Sheriff Carter reluctantly agrees to release the others while Billy stays behind. Cruz,
That's a real nigga, though. I ain't gonna. W-Mans, I ain't gonna lie, that's a real nigga.
Lita, Gus, and Julian leave and check into a nearby hotel, promising to bring Billy some dinner later that night. Meanwhile, Maynard tries his hand at sweet-talking the sheriff for an early release. When she refuses, he asks if he could at least be moved to another cell, away from the passed-out drunk occupying the cot in his current one. But the hard-nosed sheriff ain't hearing it and returns to her desk to get started on the paperwork. Now, out on the street, the local news team is baffled by their colleagues' tardiness. It's not like Colleen to disappear like this, but they'll have to manage without her. As the broadcast proceeds, the Hilliker boys slip into the festival crowd. Their disfigured looks blend right in among the other deranged hillbilly costumes as they begin searching the area for their pa. Now at the station, Sheriff Carter has uncovered Maynard's true identity in the police records and sees that he's actively wanted for murder. She quickly rings up the U.S. Marshals Service, and they tell her that they'll have a transport there to pick up the dangerous fugitive by 10 a.m. the next morning. When she tells her prisoner the news, Maynard gloats that she won't live long enough to see him off.
Now across town, the boys are hard at work helping their father make good on his threats. Like first, they bring down a cell tower with their massive farm truck, knocking out phone service to the entire area. Next, they pay a visit to the local power station. Using bolt cutters to get through the gate, they head inside and disable the town's power. Assuming they're just drunk kids up to mischief, the station's lone guard spots them on the security feed and rushes to their location. This mistake quickly proves fatal as the boys introduce him to an electrified transformer.
Bro, that nigga would have been shot, bro. If a nigga with an axe runs up on me and I'm a cop, I'm blasting your shit. I'm ba 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 ba. If I'm letting that chopper sing no inner lead, bro, he's gone.
With that, it's lights out for the bumbling guard, along with the rest of the town. Alright, talk about a shocking turn of events. Once Sheriff Carter realizes the creepy old guy she's babysitting is actually a high-value, wanted murderer, she needs to rethink her entire strategy. This is no longer a wait for the US Marshals in the morning situation. It's time to circle the wagons. Turning your teenage prisoners loose and carrying on with paperwork is basically inviting a tragedy. The smarter move is to call every available deputy back to the station, double up on watches, and lock the building down like a temporary fortress. You don't assume you've got until 10 a.m., you assume someone is already on their way to make your night a living hell. Meanwhile, across town, the electrical...
The teenager just has drugs. Nigga just trying to party. The other nigga's actually killing people. Get rid of his ass first. That's number one priority, nigga. Call all reinforcements back at the goddamn tower and make sure to buckle down.
Station guard is operating under the wildly optimistic belief that he's dealing with a couple of drunk idiots from the festival cutting through a fence for fun.
Drunk idiot? Okay, what drunk idiot is cutting through an armed base with an axe with two of his buddies? What sense does that make?
Even if that were true, the correct response to multiple intruders breaching critical infrastructure is not grab a flashlight and go handle it solo. This is a call for backup scenario, full stop. At minimum, you alert authorities and wait for reinforcements. If you're hell-bent on handling it alone, don't do it completely unarmed against multiple unknowns in a dark industrial environment. God damn it! Instead, he charges in...
Look, now he's getting... Just now look, bro. Do breathing on your neck, hand right near the Johnson. It's done, bro. It's done.
Alone and ends up as a highlight on the workplace hazard awareness video. And for what? They're definitely not paying him enough to warrant a showdown with these three armed intruders in close quarters. Better to report the problem and stay alive long enough for someone qualified to handle it. Yeah, by skipping that step, he essentially fast-tracks the hillbillies' plan. No power, no communications, and no one left to warn the rest of the town that things have officially gone off the rails. Maynard lets out his ghoulish laugh as the lights go out in the police station. He says his boys are coming for him, which means the sheriff and the other prisoners are living on borrowed time. By now, the drunk named Mose has woken up and he's pretty freaked out by his cellmate's threatening vibe. Sheriff Carter unlocks the cell to release him, but Mose offers to stick around the station to lend a hand. With all the deputies busy with the festival, the sheriff might need backup if her crazed prisoner starts acting up. As Mose retrieves some flashlights from storage, the sheriff tries to reach one of her underlings, Deputy Biggs, on the radio. But Biggs is busy handling some community relations efforts, and none of the other deputies...
Big, lock in! Nigga trying to do for the hoes, bro. We are on critical watch. People are dying, power's out, you worried about yams, bro. Lock in, do your job.
Are responding either, so it looks like Sheriff Carter is on her own. At the motel, the gang is making the best of things and the power outage.
Tony snail ass police force, bro. Bruh, Celtic shack ass cop force.
Cruz decides to bring Billy that dinner they promised him. With nothing but a dim flashlight to guide her, she makes her way towards the police station. The festival crowd seems to have...
letting a girl go out in the middle of the dark, knowing the power's out, knowing shit is probably bad is a crazy idea, bro. No. Just no.
Disappeared, except for a single creepy mountain man in a child's mask. Cruz turns to run, but the creep chases her through the deserted streets. Back at the hotel, Julian has had enough of playing third wheel to Gus and Lita and decides to pay Billy a visit as well. On his way out, he carelessly tosses his hunting knife onto the motel room floor. Meanwhile, Three Fingers' little game of hide-and-seek has reached an end, as Gus is accosted by some local punks with a paint-filled water balloon. The degenerate mountain man is one block over, slicing Cruz's guts to ribbons. Okay, looks like Billy isn't getting that dinner after all. Cruz heading out alone into unfamiliar streets right after the power and cell service mysteriously die is already a massive error. But
massive area. You gotta roll with at least another. We be like, nah, let's go together on some like group type shit.
What really seals it is the lack of coordination. If Julian is just going to visit Billy himself a few minutes later, why not go along with Cruz in the first place? From his encounter with the locals,
why not just go with her and keep your fucking knife and not throw that bit? You were in unfamiliar territory. That's what I'm saying. Horror movie characters are just fucking stupid. That's why no wonder they be getting easy pickings, bro. They dumb. They're dumb. They're stupid, my guy. They're not smart.
And their paint balloons, it's clear that cannibals aren't the only troublemakers prowling the streets tonight. Better to stick together for some strength in numbers type activities. Instead, Cruz goes solo and Julian lags behind, creating two smaller, easier to pick off targets. Then, Julian compounds the issue by dropping his hunting knife on the motel floor like a used candy wrapper. You don't abandon.
How do you not hear a knife drop, bro? Come on, lock in!
Your one and only defensive tool right before walking into a dark, deserted street during a blackout. Even if he's not exactly Rambo, having something beats showing up empty-handed when things inevitably go sideways. Meanwhile, the broader situation is screaming for caution. Empty streets, no power, no phones, and a suspicious lack of festival activity. The right move here is for everyone to stay put, lock the doors, and wait for daylight or official guidance. Instead, the group ignores the signs of danger and keeps splitting up for side quests. The result is predictable: multiple isolated groups against, and a family of deranged killers and a rising body count. Julian arrives at the station to find that Cruz never came by with Billy's meal. Maynard immediately starts threatening everyone again, so Julian decides to stick around and lend a hand in case things take a turn for the worse. Back at the motel, Lita and Gus are making the most of their time alone. After they're done canoodling, Lita hops in the motel's surprisingly spacious shower, while Gus enjoys some takeout in bed. But his meal is soon interrupted by a knock at the door. He opens it to find One Eye standing outside and thinking that he's just some drunk.
Bro, I would not open that bit. If I don't know who it is, I'm gonna be like, yo, who's that? No response, not opening that bit. It's the middle of the night, bro.
Local tells him to buzz off, but the knocking continues despite his warning, and now Sawtooth has joined the party. The homicidal brothers quickly overpower Gus.
Why are you opening the door all the way?
And force their way inside the room. Lita hears the ruckus from
These are not even super strong individuals, bro. These is regular dudes, bro. I'm piecing their ass up.
Restroom and gets dressed in a hurry, and she carefully peeks through the bathroom door and doesn't like what she sees. So shutting the door behind her, she looks around for something to use as a makeshift weapon, finally settling on a bar from the towel rack. Then she hides behind the bathroom door as One Eye barges in and starts rifling through the medicine cabinet. With the element of surprise on her hand, she bashes the intruder over the head and makes a break for it, but a blow from a flimsy towel bar has little effect.
And you see, if I had my strength, yo, boom! You wouldn't even stop there. Boom, 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 boom. With a knock, bro, I would have had that nigga with a Tommy Jerry lump on his head, boy. Like, this is such an easy movie to survive, bro. These aren't even like Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers, where they got insane superhuman durability. If these is regular ass dudes, bro, you're beating them, nigga. I'm beating them, nigga.
On the creep, and One Eye easily takes her to the ground. Alright, nothing like some uninvited guests to spoil the mood. Yeah. Gus is basically asking for trouble by opening the door to strangers.
Opening the door in the middle of the night. And I'm not opening, nigga, I don't open the door in my house where I've lived for a year and a half and I know it's a safe area. So why the actual heck would I open that bit in unknown locations where I don't know anybody and it's the middle of the night and the power's out? What are we doing?
It's not once, but twice. First knock, fine, check it out. If you see
first time, put the shame on you. Twice can put the blame on you, ass nigga, bro.
Be a sketchy guy, tell him to get lost. That's where it should end. But the second knock? Better to simply ignore the problem and see if it goes away. Opening the door again just gives the situation a second chance to go bad, which it immediately did. To her credit, Lita recognizes that something's wrong and tries to arm herself. The towel rack? Yeah, if you're locked in a bathroom, you've got access to one of the most reliable blunt force options available, the toilet tank lid. It's heavy, solid, and actually capable of doing some real damage. Like a quick blow to the head with this porcelain equalizer should be enough to take down any attacker and buy yourself some time to escape. Or better yet, don't attack at all. Look, they don't call him One Eye for nothing. This guy isn't the most observant, and he doesn't seem to see her crouched behind the bathroom door. Instead of diving at him with a flimsy weapon, all Lita had to do was stay quiet and wait for him to leave instead. But she turns a stealth situation into a confrontation, gives up her position, and ends up in a fight she was never equipped to win.
As Lita struggles on the floor, she catches a lucky break. Julian's hunting knife is still lying there, and she manages to stab one eye and bolt for the door. Meanwhile, Billy is growing more and more concerned by Cruz's unexplained absence. It seems like she's finally arrived when there's a knock at the station door, but it's just Sheriff Carter's husband, Jason, stopping by with some candles. As the sheriff fills him in on the details of her crazy night, Jason encourages his wife to kick off work early and leave one of his deputies in charge. She explains that she can't get
Oh, do you not see this, bro? That's the problem, bro. Motherfuckers be so focused on getting booty. That's why niggas be dying, bro. We worried about the wrong shit.
a hold of any of them, and besides, she needs to stick around and keep an eye on this
We got a Ed Gein here, bro. We gotta lock in, bro.
dangerous fugitive. Right on cue, Maynard chimes in with another overtly threatening remark, and Jason decides to leave his wife to her business, promising to return soon with some sandwiches. Elsewhere, Maynard's boys are up to their usual antics. They've got Gus tied up in the back of their truck, and they're giving his legs a tune-up with their sledgehammers. Later on, Maynard is overjoyed to hear the sound of the truck horn outside the police station. As the sheriff watches through the window, the boys dump Gus into the street and drive off. Julian, Mose, and the sheriff rush outside as he screams for help, but they're too late. The Hillikers bring the truck back around to pancake their latest victim before driving off. Alright, the missed opportunities are really starting to pile up. First there's Lita. Just when it seems like she's finished, she miraculously gets her hands on a serious weapon and lands a hit on her attacker. And while one little poke might be enough to secure her escape, she and her friends are far from safe in the long run. Lita, when life hands you a hunting knife, you finish the job. Or at least take
Bro, I'll stab a nigga, bro. I'm not stopping, bro. I'm gonna be like, some you right in the gut.
out one eye's remaining peeper to reduce his threat level. Then we've got the sheriff's husband, Jason, who apparently never learned how to read a room. The power is out. All the deputies are AWOL, and your wife's only backup for guarding a homicidal fugitive is the town drunk? Better just drop off some candles and bounce. But if Jason had hung around the station for 5 more minutes to see what happened to Gus, he would know that the last thing they need are some PB&Js. Stick around and help secure the building, keep eyes on the prisoner, and make sure your wife isn't outnumbered by whatever chaos is clearly unfolding outside. Because now that the boys have brought the fight to the station, things are only going to get worse. Sheriff Carter and Mose peel Gus off the street as Julian retches at the sight of his friend's mangled body. It's clear now that Maynard means business, so the sheriff releases Billy from the cell next to the lunatic. Next, she deputizes the 3 men and hands them shotguns. She tells Billy and Julian that if they help her, she'll do what she can to get them a light sentence for their earlier crimes. Billy wants to leave and look for Cruz, but the sheriff insists that they stick together and wait for help to arrive. She explains that their attackers want them to split up, making them easier to hunt. The phone lines are still down, but Mose recalls seeing a shortwave radio in the junk shop across the street, and the shopkeeper even has a backup gas generator to operate it. So while the others stay behind to guard the station, Sheriff Carter decides to head across the street and use the radio to call for help. Maynard immediately points out the stupidity of this strategy and what happened to sticking together. Nevertheless, the sheriff charged.
Bro, you know it's bad when the ops is like, man, that's a dumbass play. Nigga, the ops is like, man, y'all making this too easy, bro. This free food. This free food. Y'all giving me steak, macaroni, asparagus, and sauce, nigga. This shit too easy.
Surges ahead with her new plan. After busting through the glass door to get inside, Carter locates the generator amongst the junk in the store, but the noise from her break-in attracts some unwanted attention as Three Finger grabs a cardboard cutout of the store's owner and follows her through the open door. In the store's back room, the sheriff is gassing up the generator when she hears a deranged laughter coming from somewhere in the aisles. She answers with a shotgun blast in the direction of the sound, but upon further investigation, she sees that she's only managed to take out the cardboard cutout. The sheriff shakes off this distraction and heads back to the storeroom to fire up the generator. With the radio up and running, she quickly makes contact with the amateur radio enthusiast in New Hampshire named Ted.
He's not locked in. I know, not locked in person when I see it. Oh, baby boy, we are cooked.
Teddy, and she explains the severity of her situation to Teddy, asking him to get in touch with the Virginia State Police to send backup. Unfortunately, it is unclear if Teddy believes her story, and before she can spend any more time convincing him, the sound of a shotgun blast rings out from across the street. Alright, it looks like the reality of the situation is finally settling in for Sheriff Carter and the others. The strategy of staying together and locking down the station is honestly her best call yet. Or it would be if she had actually stuck to the plan.
Just lock down We got the drunk. That he seems just like a regular dude on his luck, bro. He's not a terrible ass nigga, bro. He's just a regular dude. Y'all got shotguns just locked down, but no, let's split up and make it easier for the people to pick us off. That's a great idea. Yeah. No wonder y'all getting pieced up.
And believe it or not, contacting a random stoner on the radio isn't exactly a surefire way to...
Bro, this nigga don't give one for. This nigga was probably watching porn before. He ain't giving no fuss, bro.
Secure backup. And while she's messing around in the thrift shop across the street, there's no one left to guard the station except a couple of hastily deputized prisoners. So what's the best move here? Option 1, stick to the plan and stay put. Once the festival wraps up, the real deputies are bound to return to the station. With some actual trained personnel on the scene, the odds of holding the location until the marshals arrive in the morning go up significantly. Or if you simply don't think waiting around for help to arrive is the move, there's option 2. Figure out who you're trying to reach on the radio before rushing across the street. Surely a town with a robust police department also has fire or EMS services. Yeah, attempting to reach
EMS? No, my fault. Let me shut the fuck up.
Other first responders on the radio instead of just calling out at random could help to even the odds. In a pinch, a crew of firefighters would make better deputies than some old booze hound and a teenage Hunter S. Thompson wannabe. Instead of using her head, Sheriff Carter lets Panic dictate the game plan. Now she'll have to deal with the consequences as the cannibals ramp up the chaos. Lita makes it back to the station after her close call in the motel, but when she knocks, trigger-happy Mose blasts a hole clean through the door. Lita dives onto the sidewalk to safety and lands just inches away from the blood-soaked gurney where Gus's body is stashed. Billy rushes outside to bring her into the station. The racket sends Sheriff Carter running back as well, and Mose apologizes for his itchy trigger finger. With Panic now settling in, Maynard makes her an offer. If they let him go, maybe they'll live to see the morning. If not, his boys will slaughter every last one of them, but nobody is interested in cutting a deal, and Billy makes an impassioned speech about heading out to look for Cruz. Moved by his words, the sheriff hands him a shotgun and sends him on his way. Julian decides to go with him while Lita and Mose stay behind at the station.
Bruh, stop sending niggas out! Do we not learn from our mistakes? Oh yeah, bro, I almost got packed up. Let's send more teenagers. Oh my.
The boys sweep the pitch black.
Y'all are not Goku and Vegeta. Y'all are not him. Y'all are not the dynamic duo. What are we doing?
Streets for their missing friend, but there's no sign of Cruz anywhere, and before long they hear the familiar sound of laughter coming from somewhere in the darkness. As the laughter draws closer, they run for cover in a nearby alley. It's here that they spot Cruz's lifeless body, and as Billy collapses in grief, Three Finger pops out from around the corner. The boys chase after him, running straight into an ambush from the demented brothers. After a short struggle, both Billy and Julian lay unconscious.
Fucking see, this is why we don't let G-Leaguers out on the court, bro. Y'all, oh my god. You let these two teenagers who probably never had combat experience in their lives go on this S-rank ass mission. What are we, bro? What are we doing? Coach! Like, coach! Coach! What the Coach, do you see this shit? Why? What are we doing? What are we doing, Coach? Coach, look!
On the pavement, and Billy awakes sometime later to find out that he's been buried up to his neck in a soccer field with Julian lying chained up next to him. The two begin screaming for help, but the only answer comes from Three Finger, who's riding towards them on a skid steer equipped with a snowblower attachment. The crazed cannibal takes a painfully slow lap of the field to taunt his victims before giving the sports complex a fresh paint job. Alright, this is basically a masterclass in how to take a bad situation and aggressively make it worse.
Start with big bro. Let's let Sheriff, you're a terrible sheriff. You are an awful sheriff. Why are we letting kids out into the field, bro? I don't give a fuck if this nigga was talking like Naruto or Optimus Prime, which I'm confident he wasn't. But let's say he was. That's good speech, son, but I'm gonna need you to stay your ass here, because you're not an officer, you're not a soldier, you're not a Marine, you don't have combat experience, you're not built for this. You're panicking, and you're running off emotions. We need you to calm your ass down, buckle down the hatches, and stay here. That's what we need you to do. But no, let's let them go out to save their friend, even though we're in enemy territory.
with the sheriff handing Billy a shotgun and sending him into a blackout to play hero. You've got a confirmed killer in custody, no deputies, no power, and your solution is to arm a stressed out college kid and his buddy with police-issue firearms? Absolutely not. The only correct move is to keep everyone inside, lock the place down, and keep your guns pointed at every door and window. For his part, Billy needs to pump the brakes on the whole rescue mission idea. Like, sure, his girlfriend is missing and there are homicidal mountain men roaming the area, but charging out there with nothing but a shotgun and an attitude isn't going to help anybody. Maynard's boys are focused on freeing him at this point, meaning that the best way to ensure her safety is to keep it that way by staying there to reinforce the building and not abandoning it for a suicide mission. Kudos to Julian for agreeing to back him up, though. Unfortunately, two heads are not better than one in this
Julian a real nigga, but that real nigga shit just got you done in the worst way.
case. Once they spot Cruz's body, it's time to cut their losses and retreat back to the station. But they allow themselves to get drawn into the obvious ambush, losing their edge and weapons in the process. By the time Billy wakes up buried up to his neck, his fate is already sealed. But Julian just might have a shot at survival. He's got a lot of slack on that chain attached to his ankle. If he can maneuver his way in front of the Three Fingers skid steer and feed the chain into the teeth of the snowblower, I mean, he might be able to break free and jam up the mechanism at the same time. It's risky, but it beats lying down and waiting for the inevitable. With the would-be heroes officially off the board, the sheriff is even more short-handed than before, and back at the station, the situation is only getting worse. The sheriff decides that it's finally time to send someone for help, and that someone is the town drunk, Mose.
Blunder, fucking blunder. Oh, Davy Jones' locker were cooked.
Meanwhile, Maynard whispers an offer to the terrified Lita. If she helps him escape, he and his boys will definitely leave her alone. If not, she's sure to die as his offspring's campaign of terror continues. Mose heads to the festival grounds to look for the missing deputies. There's no sign of the killers on the highway, and things are off to a great start until he runs over a length of razor wire and careens into a ditch. So much for the rescue mission. Battered and bloody after the crash, Mose awakes to find himself tied up in the clutches of the Hilliker.
Great, now he lost more people because we're separating. Oh, bro, everyone in this movie dumb in the hole, bro.
Boys. He's been taken to the thrift store, which they plan to remodel with some gasoline and explosives. By now, the sheriff realizes Billy and Julian aren't coming back. Lita makes one final attempt to convince her it's time to go, but the stubborn cop refuses to leave until she sees Maynard face justice. Across the street at the thrift store, the boys load Muse into a 5-gallon drum and set the structure ablaze. Alright, hang on a second. You've had a working vehicle parked outside this entire time. Forget waiting around for help to arrive as the body count rises. It's time for a road trip. Load the prisoner into the back of your Jeep and take off for the next town over. The Hilliker's old farm truck is great for running down pedestrians, but it's not going to win any road races. They should be easy enough to shake, and with a competent driver like the sheriff behind the wheel, dodging the minor booby trap should be light work. If you can make it to the neighboring police station, your problems are all over. Stash Maynard in a holding cell and return home with reinforcements to deal with his boys. But hey, maybe the sheriff doesn't think that transporting her prisoner is worth the risk. Still, you can't send Mose out there as your last hope for rescue. The guy was passed out drunk in your cell an hour ago. Even stone cold sober. Is this really the guy you want to hand your literal keys for survival? Lita is all but begging to get out of here. Send her on her way and hope that she has enough sense not to plow over a tripwire at full speed. Sheriff Carter hears Moses' anguished screams across the street and runs outside to investigate, but just before leaving, she hands Lita a gun and tells her to shoot anyone who may come through the door. The sheriff reaches the front step of the thrift store just as a fuel tank inside ignites, resulting in a massive fireball that launches her back to the side of the street. Lita has Maynard in her sights inside the jail, but the sweet-talking maniac finally convinces her to release him from his cell. Once free, he makes good on his promise to leave her alive. Unfortunately, he also puts both of her eyes out with a letter opener. As the freshly blinded girl stumbles into the street, the sheriff pulls herself off the pavement. That's when Maynard emerges from the jail with a pistol in his hand. But Carter quickly draws her shotgun and tags him in the shoulder before he can do any harm. She then leads Lita and her wounded prisoner back to the jail, where he's returned to the safety of his cell. Alright, for a sheriff who supposedly likes to do things by the books, Carter has taken some pretty stupid risks. For starters, handing a terrified girl a
pistol. Why?
pistol and leaving her in charge of a dangerous prisoner? That's a surefire recipe for disaster, but telling her to shoot anyone who comes through the door? Aren't her deputies supposed to be coming back at some point? Maybe worst of all, leaving the keys to the cell where Lita can access them is an unforgivably dumb move. Maynard has already been trying to talk anyone who would listen into letting him go, and Lita will clearly do anything to get out of this nightmare. So before taking off to rescue Mose, the sheriff should be sure to grab her keys, or better yet, follow her original game plan and stay put. Everyone who has left the station up to this point has died, and Moses' fate was already sealed when you sent him out there to find help. But once the sheriff leaves the station, Lita misses a golden opportunity to end this once and for all, or at least even the odds. Forget letting Maynard go, why not take—
Bro, Maynard would have been dead, nigga. If I was Lee, bro, that nigga would have been blah, 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 blah. I seen nigga blah, 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 bro. Maynard, I would have shot that nigga in his leg, started whooping his shit, boy.
him out now. I mean, this guy and his boys have already killed all of your closest friends. Put that pistol to some good use and worry about the consequences later. Whatever the case, it's time for your team to get some points on the board. And with no prisoner to worry about, maybe you can finally talk the sheriff into getting the hell out of here. Sheriff Carter bandages Lita's eyes as Maynard taunts her from his cell. She thinks about finishing him off once and for all, but her sense of justice is simply too strong.
Fuck that, Just. That nigga would have been shot, bro. That nigga would have looked like SpongeBob.
Instead, she once again leaves Lita to watch or hang out with the prisoner as she takes to the
How is she? You know what? I'm gonna let it play. I'm pissed. I'm tight.
streets. But just outside the station, she makes a shocking discovery. The boys have her husband tied up in the front seat of a car, but when she opens the door to save him, she triggers a trap that slices his midsection wide open. As the sheriff struggles to contain her spouse's guts, Three Finger crashes the scene in his massive truck. Following a brief scuffle, the inept officer is rendered unconscious and dragged off by her—
Bro, these G-Leaguers is getting wilt numbers on these fucking... Bro, this is trash versus garbage, nigga. Like, oh my god.
inbred attacker. Inside the station, Maynard continues to torture Lita with threats of violence. When she's finally had enough, she struggles towards the door and escapes onto the street. The Hillikers make themselves at home in the station. After releasing their father, the boys suspend the sheriff from the ceiling in one of her own cells. Next, they start lugging in the cans of gasoline. Maynard bids the sheriff a final farewell, but before he and his boys leave, he explains the nature of the trap he's cooked up for her. With her hands secured above her head, all she has to do is bring her heel down to tighten a wire that's looped around her boot. The other end of the wire is attached to the trigger of a shotgun pointed directly at her face, which may be preferable to burning alive in the fire that Maynard is about to start. And with that, he sets his diabolical plan in motion and joins his boys in the truck outside. As flames envelop the station, Maynard smiles with sick satisfaction as a single shotgun blast rings out through the night. Alright, Sheriff, you had one job. Keep a known murderer locked up for the night and
That
don't—
fucking sucks. Everybody, I ain't gonna watch this whole no more, bro. Let me guess, these niggas win, bro. I'm already knowing, bro.
Gonna be one hell of a funeral, am I right? Get ready for the 21 gun salute, Sheriff, because you f***ed up. Lita stumbles through the darkness in search of help. She's made it to one of the back roads outside of town. When she hears the sound of an approaching car, she tries to flag down the driver. It seems like the nightmare is finally over, or it would be if these helpful motorists weren't the exact clan of backwoods freaks shoot.
Them niggas said, oh, this easy. They was like, oh, this is free food, nigga. Oh my god, bro.
Was trying to
Nigga, Uber eated herself to the
escape. By the time she realizes her own mistake, it's already too late. Lita is along for the ride as the ghoulish mountain men drive wherever the road may take them. Wrong turn 5. A cult.
Bro, stop making movies, bro. All these niggas suck. All these niggas is trash, bro. Shout out to How to Beat, bro. It's your boy Jay. Stay healthy, and stay blessed. And I'm out.